got like a... Oh, never mind. We're live.
Oh, hello. Are you all right, Kaz? How are you doing, dear?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm all right.
Start us off with an intro to you and your books while I tag in the many people who want to watch you live.
Oh, okay. Right. Yes, thank you. My name's Andy Barrett. If you prefer to call me Andrew Barrett, that's absolutely fine. I have written recently about a DS called Regan Carter. Prior to that, I've written a series with my old mate, Eddie Collins. He's a CSI, as am I. And right at the very beginning of the crime writing career, if you like, was a very good friend of mine, Roger Coniston. I haven't seen him in quite a long time. Don't know where he is. Don't know what he's doing now. But as I said, bang up to date, it's Regan Carter. That's what I'm working on at the moment.
Which is still has Eddie in.
He does like to pop in occasionally. Yeah.
And some of the other people from the series are there as well.
Yes, Sid's in it. Tom Benson, DI, he's in it as well. But I mean, it's all part of... do you remember the old ATV thing that was on telly ages ago and it had 3 circles? Do you remember that? Doom, 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 doom. Nope, we don't remember it. Smack in the middle, where to one side you've got Regan Carter's universe, and on the other side you've got Eddie Collins's universe. And just as they overlap, you've got them both in in each other's universe. And this is what this is all about. So you've got Regan Carter, who came into Eddie Collins's world in book 7, Death Warning, in Eddie Collins's series. She made an appearance there as the new DS, replacing DS Khan, I think it was. Well, I liked her so much that I created her own series, not necessarily entering her universe the way she entered in Eddie's universe. So it's completely different. But they do overlap because there are CSIs at her crime scenes and there are detective sergeants at Eddie's crime scenes. So there's a bit of overlap there. And they both keep their own characterization that I've developed over a period of time. So they're both themselves, but just in their own worlds. If that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Sorry. I'm just reading the comments that are already rolling in.
Oh, have we got some comments?
We do. You can't see them on here anymore. Sorry.
No.
So you're just going to have to trust me to read them.
Oh, there's something that says comments here. Is that like to blow things up? All right, no, it doesn't work.
Laura said hello. Donna said hello. She's called us lovely humans.
Oh, thank you.
TG Campbell says that you're an awesome person and hilarious.
Who says that?
TG Campbell. She says.
Oh, right. Oh, hello. Hello. How are you doing? I hope you're well.
Did she meet you at our first live event?
I think I have met her at, was it the second one? I think it was the second one. Are you doing another one this year, by the way? Next year, rather.
We are in September.
Oh, super. Right, that's very good, very good.
Which is good. I have to admit, it's a massive enjoying the first Regan Carter, but there's also a moment where you chase a suspect to Armley, and I was sat in my house in Armley.
Yeah. Well,
reading a book where you're chasing someone to Armley, and this is a little bit close to home.
Yeah, I do use proper locations in and around Leeds, and I enjoy it so much because there's such variety. You've got your chrome and glass in Leeds city centre, all very posh there. Thank you very much. And then you've got your down at heel places, and you've also got your rather nice places like Horsforth and Headingley. Beautiful Victorian buildings up in Headingley and Hyde Park. If you ever get the chance to visit, gorgeous up there. Then you've got your out of the way places like Garforth and Rothwell, and I like to use all those. Barwick and Elm, it's another good one. It's got the Maypole in there. I was thinking about doing some little videos about where the books have taken place. I might do that one day. That'd be quite interesting to do. But yes, I do like to use places in Leeds.
And it must be good for the people who read them who are based here, who are just like, this is...
Say that again, Kaz. I've tried to turn you up a little bit.
I said it'll be good for the people who live in Leeds who are reading it going, oh, this is really close.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I hope that happens. Remember Ledston Lock, when I wrote that That was what, 4 or 5 years ago. I've had lots of people saying, "Oh yeah, I live near Ledston. Look, and it's great to read places that are near home." So yeah, I'll keep that up. I'm not going to stop doing that. It's interesting. Why make places up when you've got beautiful places like that on your doorstep you can use in your books?
Exactly. Let's talk about Regan though as a character. So you said she's cropped up in an Eddie book.
Yep, she made an appearance in Death Warning, Eddie's latest book, and like I say, I liked her so much that I thought I'm going to give her her own series. She popped up in that book as Regan Parker, and I could not make my mind up. I liked the name Parker because of the nosy Parker aspect. I think I used that line in that book as well. But I also liked the name Carter as well. And then I thought, Regan Carter. What do we know? Who is Regan Carter? Well, it's the Sweeney, isn't it? You've got DS, you got Regan in that, and you've got Carter in that as well. So I thought, well, let's amalgamate the names. We'll have Regan Carter. I like it's a good name anyway. It trips off the tongue quite nicely. So she's a feisty redhead from down south. That was all she carried over from the Eddie book, apart from the fact that her younger brother was, shall I say, was killed or died in the 90s, I think it was. And she's brought that into her own series. But I can't tell you anything else about that because it will give it away a little bit. But yes, I really wanted to give her her own series simply because writing Eddie books, I thought to myself earlier on, yeah, because they're easy to write, but they're not. They're really difficult to write. But I feel comfortable with the character. And I thought, why not write something that you're not entirely comfortable with? And that's a female, because I'm not. And she's a detective, and I don't really know a great deal about the detective side of the police work, whereas I'm okay with the CSI stuff, as you might gather. So yeah, it's a bit of a learning curve for me, but she's an interesting character, and I can't help it because it's partly me, I suppose, but she's got certain aspects that Eddie has as well. A little bit sarcastic, perhaps a little bit cynical, but that's me. so she's not got the same traits as Eddie. She's got the same traits as me, and I can't really get out of that completely, although I do try.
She's not scared is the right word, but she's not keen on dead bodies, is she?
She's not what your mic's a bit duff, or my speakers are.
Sorry. She's not keen on dead bodies.
Oh no, she's not. She really hates dead bodies, and there's part of me that doesn't really like them either. I don't like the stinky, smelly ones, the ones that are all crawling and full of maggots and whatnot. I'm not particularly keen on those, but fresh ones are fine, absolutely no problem at all. But she doesn't like dead bodies at all. I don't know if it's a bit of a phobia she's got. Many people have that kind of a phobia, so it's not something that's totally foreign to people. And it's another aspect of her character. Can you imagine being a detective sergeant in a major crime unit where they deal not exclusively with dead bodies, but a large proportion of their work is dead bodies, and she can't stand dead bodies? So you've already got a little bit of a conflict going on there, which tickled me. So that's why I used that one.
Donna says, "Are you not in the wrong job then?"
Why? What does she mean by that? Where could I possibly be?
I guess you must see a few bodies though.
Yeah, one or two. Yeah. Honestly, I don't like infested bodies. I'm not keen on them really, but you've just got to get on with it and do it. I'm not keen on. I don't like dead people as it is anyway, really. But who does? But they don't affect me at all. I'm not frightened of them, and I'm not. I don't have psychotic episodes about them or anything like that. But when you've got flies buzzing all over you, it's not very pleasant. And when you're slipping and sliding on pieces of human, that's not very pleasant either. But you have to just get on with it, don't you? It's your job, and that's that.
I mean, I've never had to worry about that in my job. Sliding on bits of human.
Well, this is what we have seen Suits for a reason. I'll put it like that, shall
I? The good news about people coming to watch is that they ask all the questions for me. Laura says, "Were you nervous writing a female main character with the need to avoid the male author pitfalls?"
I don't write any sex scenes as such, so I don't look a complete tool by doing that. That's one thing. But I have written a main character before. You might remember a book called The End of Lies. That was Becky, I think her name was. She was a librarian, and she took on a gang lord, a Leeds gang lord, who, funnily enough, was based in Garforth, I seem to remember. So I've written a female before, and to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't find it a challenge at all. I sort of fit right in, and it's the same with Regan. It's fine. Honestly, it's not a problem. Like I said, there are certain aspects of being a female that I know nothing about for obvious reasons. So I would probably get those wrong, which is a damn good reason to try and avoid them, don't you think? So this is exactly what I do. I don't write the, I was going to say sticky bits then, but I don't mean that. I don't write the bits that I know nothing about.
Donna's already said she's not had a dinner yet after the discussion about bodies.
With the Swede, we've not had our dinner. Yeah, good. I like that. Very good.
Yeah, there's a lot of quotes of the Sweeney in the book.
Say that again.
You've got a lot of quotes from the Sweeney in the book. She's got a love for old classic shows, hasn't she?
Yeah, she does. That's like me. I've been on a bit of a youth kick at the moment. There is above my head is an Imperial 66 typewriter. That's the very first typewriter that I started to write on. It's not the original one because I've no idea where that one went. So I found one and I bought it and I can fawn over it. And there is a cassette player that I used to have. Do you remember the cassette players with the handle that came out? I used to have one of those, and I found one on eBay exactly the same as the one I used to have. And so I bought that as well. And here, a Mark III Cortina police car. That also takes me back to my childhood. I found that and bought that as well. So I do like the past. I do like history, modern history. And so does Regan, funnily enough. So we get on like a house on fire. And I bought all the Carry On films because I used to love the Carry On films. And I started right at the beginning and it were absolute garbage. Honestly, it really was. The first couple of Carry Ons, I don't know how they managed to continue getting them made because it was rubbish. But I've got all the Sweeney. I love the Sweeney. I bought those decades ago and I've watched them several times. So yeah, there's plenty of my history in her books, which is good.
Can you still get cassettes?
Can you still get what?
Cassettes for your...
Here is a cassette that I made of my Queen stuff years ago. Do you remember? Oh look, I even called it Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't know if you still can get cassettes or not, but there is a cassette. Look, a TDK AD90, the ones I always used to buy. So I don't know if you can still get cassettes or not. Funnily enough, I used to buy my cassettes at, do you remember Millgarth Police Station right in the middle of town, next to the market? If you go up that street towards Briggate, on your right-hand side, there used to be a row of shops where you could buy foam and cassettes and all kinds of stuff like that. And that is the setting where, do you remember The Pain of Strangers, where Mother got her throat slit outside a cash machine as she was walking across to the markets? That is where I based that, and I have no idea why or how these locations come to me. But cassettes, that's what I thought of. And I thought, I used to buy my cassettes there, and that is where I set. There's never been an ATM there. I have no idea why I dreamed that one up, but I did.
Did you say the next one's going to get called The Dark Arches?
Yes, it is. We've got a random kill, which is the first one. This is how it sort of panned out for me. I began writing it not knowing where it was going to go. This is how I like to write things. I wanted there to be 3 books, and I set this challenge to myself in 18 months ago, I think it was, and I set myself a challenge to write 2,000 words a day or thereabouts, something like that. And I smashed it. I got it done because I was enjoying it. It was difficult, but I got it done. I enjoyed it. And the first book is A Random Kill. That was going to be called the long scream, I think, something like that, because it features a rather unusual gang death, little bit on the gruesome side, little bit gory, and I think one reviewer called it the best gang murder he's ever read. So I thought, I like that one, so I've used that in promo.
Only a
But
bit gory.
it is a little tiny bit gory, yeah. But it's necessary, so it's not gratuitous. Yeah, it's a little bit gratuitous, I suppose. It could have just been a stabbing, couldn't it? But where's the fun in that? So Regan is basically taking on an organised crime group by herself. She works in a team. She's got Tom Benson above her, and she's got her own team of detectives. But she is the driving force within this group of detectives, and she's taking on this organised crime group, and she's taken a particular dislike to the chap at the head of it because he threw her off her premises when she didn't have a search warrant. And so she's dug her heels in, and she's trying to do her best to bring these people to justice. And she's starting because she's starting at the lower levels of these organised crime chappies, and then before long, we get to see as readers not only Regan's dealings, how she gets to these organised crime chaps, but we see from the other side as well of the organised crime group itself starting to come apart for reasons that you'll find out if you want to read it, or if you dare read it, whichever you prefer. And then in book 2, we move up a layer, and we've finished with the dross now down at the bottom, the druggies and whatnot, and now we're moving up to the ones with a few stripes on their arms, the ones that are a bit more intelligent, and she, how can I say, she does okay there. And then in book 3, I've got a mailing list, and I gave the people on the mailing list a choice of titles for this particular book. It was going to be called The Holy Fox, and that's nothing at all to do with religion. So none of my books have anything religious in them. Why? I just not bothered about that rubbish. So don't think it's religious, because it's not. But anyway, they preferred the optional title of Cutting Ties, so it will be called Cutting Ties, the third book. And that's to do with the chap nearly at the top of this pyramid of organised crime, and how she goes about battling him. I don't want to say beating him, because we don't know, do we? But anyway, it ended on a bit of an unintentional cliffhanger. Again, I'm not going to tell you. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what involved in the cliffhanger, but it stopped at a crucial point. Now, this happened once before, and your dad picked up on it. Do you remember I wrote the note many years ago, a little novella? I stopped it where I thought it needed stopping, and he said, "You're missing a scene or two on the end of that." And I thought, by Jiminy, he's correct. And after starting a new Eddie Collins novel, bearing in mind that this book 3 has already gone out to beta readers and such, one or two have said, you can continue this, don't you? I thought, flipping that reminds me of the note with your dad. And I looked at it again. I thought, I could actually make a 4th book out of this, because she started at the bottom, she's worked her way through the middle and the top, but we've not got to the very top yet, have we? So the 4th book, which I haven't really done much with at the moment, that's going to be the ultimate book, I think, unless something silly happens in that. I don't know. But anyway, so there you go. That's the trilogy stroke quadrilogy explained.
Brilliant. So, I was just trying to get at whether you were setting it partly in the Dark Arches, if it's called.
Yeah, that's why it's called the Dark Arches. You nailed it. Yes.
Good.
The Dark Arches is part of Leeds City train station. That has gone through several evolutions as the train station, as you will know. And they didn't really dismantle the last pair of train stations next to each that they had. They just built on top. So beneath them is a network of dark arches, and there are some set pieces that happen in the dark arches. And obviously that's book 2, which is not even book 1's not even out yet. That's a bit of a lie. Book 1 is out in paperback, but book 1 ebook is not out while the 4th of October, and I'm probably going to release the second book in December time. So it gives people time to read it, doesn't it?
It does. That's exciting.
Mm.
There's some great places to like leave a body or like kill someone in the Dark Arches. So.
Oh yeah, it's quite a terrifying place. I've seen videos of people going under there before the entrances were sealed up, and you think, what is in there? There could be all sorts in there, do you know? So who wants to go and find out? Not me.
I don't think anyone does. They used to have a market in when I was little.
They used to have a what?
I'm sure they used to have a market in there when I was little.
Maybe they did, yeah. I don't know. Maybe they did.
Maybe I just imagined it.
Ask your dad, he'll know.
Yeah, true. TG Campbell wants to know, if money was no object and you could pick anyone alive or dead, where would you go on holiday and who would you take and why?
Well, we like to go on holiday to Spain, and it's just because it's all inclusive. You're more or less guaranteed sun, blah 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 blah. But it's just Spain. Do you know where I like going? I used to follow Formula One quite religiously in my, I can't say youth because it was, well, yeah, all right, 20 years ago when they had proper engines, the V8s and V10s, not the silly V6s they've got now. And I used to occasionally go to Silverstone, and one of the favorite places I ever went to was Milan in Italy, because that's where Monza is nearby, and I loved Milan. And I've been back once or twice. I've been up Duomo Cathedral and walked across the top of that. That's stunning. So if you like architecture, go to Milan. So yes, if money was not an issue, I would have a little villa out there, and I would go and see the race every year, and I'd trundle around the coffee shops, and I'd have an absolute ball. That'd do me. You can keep your sun and your sea and your sand. Give me Milan any day.
Steve has said it's good to see us.
Who said? Sorry.
Steve Munoz. He says it's good.
Oh, Steve. Hello, Steve. How are you doing, mate? Are you all right? Are you coming to next year's UK Crime Book Club meetup in Leeds or not? Or wherever you're having it?
No, it's going to be in Leeds.
All right. Okay, good. Well, if he is, I shall share.
Good. I was going to say, hopefully our favourite CSI will turn up again.
Well, who is he?
T wants to know, if you or Eddie could have any car from the past, what would it be?
Oh, really? Do you know, I spend a long time, more time than I should, looking at old cars, and I love the old Granada 2.8, and I had Capris. I had a 2.8 Capri, and I whipped the 2.8 out, and I fitted a 2.9 from a Granada Scorpio. That's the 12 valve jobby, not the 24 valve jobby. I polished it all, I painted it all, I lapped all the valves in, I did all the cylinder flowing and everything, and it looked absolutely stunning. It got me a gold award at the Capri Club International. Oops, dropped it on the floor. Never mind. I absolutely adored that car. And then I took out the 2.9 because I don't know when I'm onto a good thing, and I bought myself a knackered old V8 Rover at 3.5, and I did the same with that. I stripped it, cleaned it, painted it, polished it, did all the mods and everything myself, and I built myself a bell housing that matched the Rover V8 to the Type 9 gearbox in the Capri, and it worked. Can't believe it worked. And I absolutely adored that car. And then I got divorced, so I ended up having to sell the damn car. So I was absolutely gutted by that. But anyway, there you go. You don't need to hear all that nonsense, do you? But yes, Capris, love them. Old Fords, love them.
This is the kind of conversation people come to the UK Crime Book Club for.
Really?
Malcolm Hollindrake wants to know your favourite F1 driver, and then I'm going to stop asking you car-related questions.
All right, hello Malcolm. Good to see you again, mate. Favorite F1 driver, modern times? Yes, it's Lewis. I'm sorry, I do like him, and I like Lando. He's a nice chap. I'm sorry to see Danny Ricciardo leaving. But you know, of my all-time favorite would be Jensen Button. Do you remember Canada 2011 in the rain, where he fought back from last place to dodge Shuey on the last corner of the last lap and win? Ultimate. Near had a heart attack. I was screaming that lap. Brilliant. So it's got to be good old Jensen.
I don't know what this says about me, but you said Lando, and my thought was Calrissian.
You're just weird, though, aren't you?
Really. Donna said, do you find yourself going back to the same kill methods, or do you try and make them all different? I'm presuming she means in fiction.
I hope so, yeah. Well, I mean, real kills have never been discovered yet, so there you go. I do like to try and do them differently. Excuse me, dry throat. But the same also goes for the way I try and find a murderer as a CSI, because you've only got so many things that you can find: footwear, fingerprints, fibers, blood, all that kind of stuff. You've only got so many things you can do, and so I try to do them all. Differently, or with a combination of different items, if you like. Do you remember what was it now? The death of Jessica Ripley. The footwear marks on the bedroom floor of the nasty chap who'd been stabbed with an axe. Do you remember that one? You just nodding.
Yeah, I remember there's another one where you did like footwear in a really interesting way as well.
Yeah.
That might have been a Roger Coniston one.
Oh, right. Oh, crikey. You know, I can't remember anything about those books now. Don't ask me anything about them. But yes, I do try to make them different to answer the question. But there's only so many ways you can kill somebody as well, isn't there, really?
I think some of the ones in the Regan Carter one were quite inventive.
That was why it was going to be called The Long Scream. Somebody suggested The Long Drop, but apparently in Australia that's a lavatory, so we will be using The Long Drop.
Other things that you wouldn't write about, because there's some like quite sort of, I don't know how to word it without giving away a spoiler. There's some quite heart-wrenching moments in this one, isn't there?
Do you know that I find the best fiction, everybody reads for two things: the story and to feel anyway. And I think if you leave a book or a television program or something like that without having felt anything, it leaves you feeling dry and not interested. If you've got a bit of emotion there, whether it's a good laugh or a bit of a weep, you've got something, you've invested in it, you've found something that you like and you should return to. And hopefully that's what my books have. That's what I try. Honestly, I try to put that in. And I've forgotten your question. What was your question?
I said it's the things you wouldn't write about.
Yeah, there are.
There's some quite touching kind of moments in this one where you were like, ooh.
Yeah, the things I won't touch animal cruelty. I did once in I mentioned it before, the End of Lies, that book. I had somebody shooting a bird, somebody shooting a cat for attacking a bird, and they shot it with an air pistol or something. And I was advised, take it out, because if you don't, you will get so many hate letters for it. So I took it out and I rewrote it so that she was the person who shot the cat actually shot somebody else who was attacking the cat. I think that was it anyway, a long time ago. And so that's worked out all right. So I won't write animal cruelty, because obviously people are very attached to animals, and rightly so. So I don't do that. And I also don't do religion, because it's just a divisive thing. I don't do politics. Even in the third rule, I made up a political group, but it was nothing to do with Tories or Labour or anything like that. There was no party political stuff in it. And I don't really want to touch, and I don't suppose I will ever touch like child abuse. I don't like that kind of stuff. I did a little. I brushed over domestic. I didn't brush over it. I touched on domestic abuse in Black by Rose. Do you remember that one? That was emotive for me writing that, because I know things like that happen in there, and I don't like it. I don't like to see people put in places that upsets them. Do you know? And that was very upsetting for one of the characters in there, and I didn't like that myself. I found myself getting upset about that. So I won't write child abuse. I won't write animal abuse. I won't write religion or politics, but the rest is fair game, really.
So there's so many people commenting on this, it's really hard to keep a track of. Steve says, your first Regan Carter book is fantastic. It's a favourite book this year.
Oh, bless him. I hope it appears in his list at the end of the year, then. I'll be really pleased about that.
You know, it might do. And Steve, you know, if he really likes a book, he's normally spot on.
Very good. Oh,
he likes them.
Really good to hear. Thank you for that.
He also says story, characters, and setting, and the interaction keep him going. Eddie Collins does it perfectly, and now Regan Carter too.
Oh, thanks, mate. That's really good to hear. I'm really pleased about that. I can't wait for people to see books 2 and 3. I really can't. Book 1 was, if I might be so bold as to say, is pretty good, but I think you'll like books 2 and 3. I can't wait for you to read them as well, Ken. See what you think to them.
Malcolm, do they spend more time floating about Armley, or am I going to be safe?
Don't go anywhere near Armley. Whatever you do, stay out of Armley. Woohoo!
I mean, that's probably fairly safe, like advice. But... Oh, hang on. Liz is here. Liz has said hello.
Liz?
Mystery?
Oh, hello, Liz. How are you, my dear? Are you all right? Good to see you again. Not that I can, but you know what I mean.
Well, she actually says, hope you're behaving yourself, Mr. B.
She's only saying that because when we met last June at Harrogate, I told her a rather dirty joke and she laughed and spat beer everywhere. I do intend using that joke as well, Liz.
Brilliant. Liz at Harrogate is just a joy. Laura wants to know what of your characters you'd like to go for a drink or a meal with.
Which of my characters?
Yeah. And what would you talk about?
Regan, because I fancy her. Trust me, I've written Regan so that she's a very nice young lady. Well, not a young lady actually. She's in her 40s, I think, something like that. But she's young to me, and she's very nice. I'd like to go with Regan. I'd like to spend about 20 minutes with Eddie, but then I think he'd probably start to annoy me a bit. Charles would be funny, but Sid, I'd like to have a pint with Sid. I think Sid would be great, and Kenny would be a giggle.
Sid is on my list of ones I'd go for a drink with.
He's lovely, isn't he?
I feel like Sid would be the best fun on a night out.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, absolutely. He's lovely, Sid. Can't wait to kill him off.
Don't you dare say things like that.
Oh, dear.
Liz says, don't dare repeat the joke.
It's a bit mucky.
I feel like you're going to have to tell me the joke, though, when we go offline.
Well, I can if you like. Yeah, that's not a problem. I want to try and slip it in Eddie book as well if I can.
Well, Eddie wouldn't be bothered about a dirty joke, would he?
No, not at all. In fact, to him, it wouldn't be a joke to him. I'm going to do it so that it's not a joke to him, and it is just telling somebody about it and not understanding the reply. That's what I'm going to have.
There's quite a good moment in the first crime scene where he kind of gets knocked over, isn't there? Like a bit of a funny moment.
Which one's that? Which book?
Your new one.
Oh, what are you talking about? Oh, I see what you mean now. Yeah, sorry, I thought you were talking about the first Eddie book. Yeah, of a random kill. Yeah, he gets knocked over by somebody running towards him, doesn't he? But I'm not telling you more than that because you'll just have to read it. Actually, it's probably in the first 10% that you can get free on Amazon anyway. So people don't need to buy that 10%, don't they? They can get it for free.
Can you get 10? Right, see, I didn't even know that.
I think you can, yeah.
So you said the paperback's out. No, the paperback's out now, but the ebooks later.
Yeah, paperback was out yesterday, and the ebook is out 4th of October. So I brought the ebook out 4th of October, and then I brought it out. I planned this in about July time. I'll bring it out 4th of October. I'm not working, blah, 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 blah. And then I thought, oh, crikey, when am I going to bring the paperback out? And I just thought, man, I'll do it the week before. So there it is. It's out on the 26th. It was out yesterday. And the ebook's out 4th of October. And I'll probably bring the second one out sort of December time. I think I've said that already.
Do you have like a date in mind, or you?
No, not yet. No, probably the 24th. I don't know.
People. Let's get the paperback for their
Yes, that's a good idea. All right, then I'll do it the week before.
Like Christmas presents.
I'll do it. All right, the 15th or something like that. 15th. I'll look when my shifts are, and I'll do it for days off before Christmas. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
All right, I'll do that then.
Oh, someone said congratulations on your new release.
Thank you. Do you know, I started it 18 months ago, and I know probably about half an hour now I said that it was easy, but God, it wasn't. It really wasn't. I'm friends with Kath, as you know, and I remember saying to her, I'm not sure I can finish this, because it was really difficult. There were some, not the characters. The characters were great. They were coming along quite nicely. But back then, instead of having Regan's mum in it, I had her father in it, and I had him with Alzheimer's in a care home, and she was visiting him in a care home. And I remembered that Ricky Gervais did something. What was it called? Can you remember that series he did? It was absolutely brilliant. I watched it. I was in tears over it. It was brilliant. Where his father was also in a care home with Alzheimer's. And I thought, no, I'm not writing that. It's I wrote a couple of scenes with the dad and Regan, and she was getting nothing back from him. And I thought, she's just basically talking to herself. There's nothing there. And I found it a little bit upsetting, but it also didn't carry the story forward. So I thought, I sod this. So I brought a mother in, and I've no idea who her mother was at that point, because she was just another character. She was just somebody else to bounce things from. And I had Regan going into the house, and she was moaning about being transferred, and she said, oh, shut up. And I thought, oh, quite like this. She was a really feisty little bugger, she was. And she didn't take any crap from Regan. She was just giving it all back, saying there's no such thing as luck. Fate doesn't have any plans for you. It's just life. Live it. Get on with it. And I thought, oh, I liked her. And now I've been chatting away with you for the last 10 minutes. I've forgotten what your damn question was again. What was it?
Dawn Knight says she's looking forward to October the 4th to get hold of the ebook.
Oh, splendid. That's really good. Thank you. I hope you like it. I really do. Honestly, I hope you like it.
Well, I think it's a testament to your writing that there are so many people here tonight wanting to talk to you.
Oh, that's very kind. Oh, that's lovely. I wish I could see who you all were and how many of you are and what questions you're asking. That'd be lovely. That. Thank you for coming along. I really appreciate it, because it's a bit nervy for me, because I'm not one of your natural interviewees. Like I don't know if you've done JD Kirk. I've never got around to watching that one, but I expect he was really smooth and suave and what have you. And I'm here like a cranky old bucket. I don't know what to say and what to do. So.
But you would never guess that. You do come across well on an interview.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I'm on temazepam and cocaine and I'm not, and whiskey, and I'm on everything. Oh, just to keep me calm.
My dad swears by whiskey as a cure-all for everything.
Yeah, it really is. That and Savlon, you can't go wrong. That's all you need in life. Whiskey and Savlon, and you're sorted.
Right. Well, we've gone off topic again. This is like the cars earlier.
Were we ever on topic? Oh well, okay then.
Well, I think we did. We started off sensibly talking about the books.
Oh yeah, there is that, yeah.
Didn't we? Yeah, nice bit of advertising there. Are you going to go back to like Eddie or anyone else after these ones?
Oh,
or are you going to go and do something else?
No. I like writing Eddie. He's cathartic. Is it cathartic or cathartic? He's one of those. He's very enjoyable for me to write. I love writing him. There's a lot of frustration as a CSI, as I'm sure there's a lot of frustration in any job that you can name. But I'm lucky because I get to write about it as well. You could stop you writing about it if you work in a bank or a building society or something like that, and you're getting pissed off with customers. Write it, please do. So this is what I do, and I love writing Eddie Collins. Is a channel for me to get all the angst out. It doesn't work. I still feel angry all the time, but I do enjoy writing him. So I mean, I did start to come up with a little bit of a story for him just recently, but then, like I say, I discovered that I really should write the fourth Regan Carter book, because if I leave it where I've left it, just there's one line at the end of the third book, and that will make people jump up and down if there isn't a fourth. I could just take that line out and leave it as 3 books, but I'll leave the line in because it entertained me to write it. So I'll leave that line in, but I'll have to write a fourth book at some point. But it has made me put dear old Eddie to one side again just for a little while. It won't take long, viewers, honestly, to write the last Regan Carter book, or the fourth Regan Carter book, and then I'm back on with Eddie again. I promise.
You've been asked if there's a comedy element in your book.
Slightly. It's sarcasm based comedy, if you like. I don't think an average person can go through life without having a really good giggle at stuff. It's like remember when I was at college. Do you remember Kitson College that used to be in Leeds? It's now something completely different. I don't know what it is. We used to hop along to the Merrion Centre and go for something to eat at lunchtime. And I'll never forget a woman slipping on a wet floor and banging her head on the slippy when wet sign. How can you not laugh at that? And you get all kinds of humour at crime scenes as well. You don't really take the piss out of the dead. That's not really cool. But sometimes how people die is funny. You've got the Darwin Awards for a start off. That proves that, doesn't it? And you get a group of people who are doing a job at any kind of crime scene, and you're going to have banter, humour, complaints, all kinds of stuff gets thrown around. And that's what I try and put in my book. And that includes swearing as well. Going back to Formula 1, Max Verstappen getting told off for swearing in an interview. Sorry, but it happens. I keep my swearing to a minimum. I've said piss and shit once or twice, I think, in this interview. But in real life, people swear a lot. I do. And so it's in my books, and I don't apologize for that. I put right at the very beginning, proud to swear in British English. If you don't like swearing, don't read them. Simple as that. Well, I hope you do, but you don't have to. But don't complain about the swearing in it, because I've told you the swearing in it.
Liz says that you're our cranky old bucket, Andy, and we love you.
Oh, bless. She's my old ladle. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liz, dear Liz.
Where does that even go?
Don't take that onto the second verse, whatever you do.
No, we won't. Oh, I've lost my train of thought now. You were saying that you didn't know about being a detective, but you surely have got the best resources to ask.
Damn right I have, yeah. I'm very lucky with the CSI in that that's my job. And so it's a little bit authentic. I try to be a little bit authentic, although not bang up to date authentic, because the way the forensic world is at the moment in the UK is in a very precarious place. And I'm not going to elaborate on that too much, except to say that the United Kingdom Accreditation Service has got involved and things are moving in not a very nice direction. So all my forensic stuff is from years ago. I still use the FSS as my go-to forensic laboratory. That's the Forensic Science Service, which used to be government owned, and now what we have are independent private laboratories doing our DNA work and such. Bit of a step backwards, I think, but that's my own view. So I still use the FSS in my books, and I still use some of the old ways of doing things. Like nowadays, we have a tablet that we type our reports onto in the van. I've got a Bluetooth keyboard that I put my report onto the tablet. I have a Bluetooth printer that I print all my exhibit labels off and stick on and everything. So all that's different. You won't see those in the books because it's not a nice world. It's not as romantic, if you like, as it used to be. It's not as it's probably easier, in certain respects, but again, because of UCAS, it's really not. So yeah, I use the old way of doing things. But as far as detecting is concerned, see, I remembered your question. As far as detecting is concerned, I don't really know a great. I probably know a little bit more than your average person on the street, because I work in that kind of environment. I mess about with detectives all day long, but I don't know the law from their point of view, and I don't know how they would go from one aspect of a crime scene and follow it through, and what they can and can't do. And I have to. I'm going to be picking the brains of somebody at work next week, because I've stumbled across something that I need to know to give it a little bit of authenticity, the kind of authenticity I give Eddie books, I need to put into the Regan Carter books as well. And up until now, I've managed to blag my way through. I've got away with it all right. But there's something I specifically need to know for the next book. So I do need to go cap in hand and ask a detective.
But at least it helps.
Oh, yeah.
You know a few detectives.
I do know one or two, yeah.
Steve says he thinks the old ways of doing things often make for better reading.
I'm sorry, who said that?
Steve.
Oh, did it? Oh, well, that's good to hear. That's lovely. Great. Thank you. I think there's a fine line between giving something that's authentic and keeping it out of being a dictionary, or an operating manual or something. You don't need to know that I write a report or what's in it. Or you don't need any of that rubbish as you're reading a book on fiction. If you're reading Crime Scene to Court, for example, then you're going to need to know that. But if you're reading a book on fiction, you don't need to know the ins and outs. As long as you've got the crime scene stuff pretty much on the nail, you're all right. You don't need to know the reports and how long is your lunch break on an 8-hour shift. You don't need any of that rubbish, So that's the sort of stuff that you leave out. You don't need it unless you're trying to show somebody as a pedant, for example, or you want to impress your reader with all your things that you know, but it doesn't impress them at all. I don't think it just makes them go.
So, what have you read recently and really enjoyed?
Right. I'm reading. You're not going to like this because I write crime thrillers. You're not going to believe this. I'm reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Do you know it? Sci-fi.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Oh, well, I read it about 2 or 3 years ago, and I lent the book to somebody, and I had a recent hankering to read it again, but I was too shy to ask for the book back, so I bought another one. So that's what I'm reading at the moment. But The Martian as well, beautiful, really good. As a book, it's excellent. Didn't really like the second one, Artemis. It was all right. But the first one, The Martian and Project Hail Mary, bang on. Absolutely loved it. As far as crime is concerned, what the hell have I read recently? Oh, A Litter of Bones. I read that, Mr. Kirk. I've got some Michael Wood stuff to go at. Gillian McAllister's new one. I know it's not specifically crime, it's more psychological stuff, but I've just bought her new one. I'll give that one a go. But I like I've got an eclectic thingamajiggy. I like Stephen Hawking stuff, all kinds of things like that. I like sciencey things as well.
Have you read Adrian Tchaikovsky?
Who?
Adrian Tchaikovsky? Children of Time.
Oh, well, do send that to me on Messenger, because seriously, I do like my sci-fi stuff, and I don't read as much as perhaps I should, but if I got the choice of reading or writing, I'm afraid writing wins every time. So I'm a very slow reader. If I was to continue reading a book for an hour a night before I go to sleep, it'd take me a month easily to get through, but maybe even longer. So I'm not one of the world's fastest readers. I'm not a speed reader. I read every word. So yeah, please send me that. I'll definitely look into that.
I will. You'll love it if you like sci-fi.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Laura says you need to do the audiobook of Project Hail Mary if you haven't.
All right. I looked at that. and I've not traditionally gone down the audiobook route ever. I prefer to read because I've done it in the past where I've tried to listen to a podcast, and even if it's very interesting, my mind wanders and I can't keep a hold of what's going on, and so I have to rewind and play it again. And I'm not one of these people who can. I mean, if you're an audiobook fan, then good on you. But I can't do it. If I have to be immersed, I have to do the reading myself rather than be read to.
I'm the same with audios. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Steve's asked me what I'm reading just now. What am I reading just now? I'm reading this. I realise how hard this question is when I ask people. I'm reading The Examiner by Janice Hallett and Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
Oh, you've got a couple on the go.
I always have a couple on the go.
Do you?
Yeah.
Bit of a two-timer then, are you?
I am, yeah. And I prefer the bus than a book at home.
Oh, really? Well, how long is it since you finished reading A Random Kill?
That was about 4 or 5 books ago.
Really? My God, you are prolific.
Maybe.
Not like that at all. I really cherish books and things. Do you know what I'm thinking of doing tonight?
Go on.
I'm going to finish this, and I think I might sit downstairs and watch Interstellar again for the 1,000th time. I really feel like treating myself.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Oh, bang on. Really good.
Really good. And the science is really good in it as well, apparently.
Indeed, it really is. Absolutely. Yes.
It didn't make my physicist husband grumpy watching it. So that's a good sign.
There you go then.
Yeah.
For needed.
Means it was probably accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved the fact that they spent, 20 minutes on that planet and 26 years had gone past. And the guy left on the ship, he must have gone through all his crosswords. He's run his battery down on watching all his films 15 times. And they come back and he's grey. It's got a grey beard. No, sorry, 26 years have gone past. You wouldn't have waited, would you? You just said, on this, I'm good.
Yeah, he just left him behind. So Dawn thinks that, she says, going from what she's heard so far, you sound like a plotter, not a pantser.
Oh no, I put myself in the pantster world. I do a little bit of plotting, but only when I get stuck. And I only get stuck when there's various options. I always start off a book with a scene that I want to write, and that gets my juices going. And then after that, I just write and write and write until I'm stuck, and I'm always stuck on options. And so I'll sit down and I'll write down with pen and paper what my options are, which is the most feasible, which is the most entertaining, and I'll try and make an amalgam of both of those. And if it works, then that's brilliant. Sometimes I'm left with options that give me no option, and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And it'll take me 2 or 3 weeks to think of something that'll get me out of this crap that I found myself in. But I think that's the best way of doing it. If I was a plotter, I tried it once. It lasted about 20 minutes because I got so bored of trying to figure out what was going to happen without being there. It's like trying to describe chocolate. You don't want to describe chocolate. Eat the damn thing. So I ate my chocolate, and then I was able to come up with something else, and then something else, and something else. And then, yes, you do get stuck in. That's part of the problem. But it's organic, and it's the way that things would work in real life, I think. And I think that's the way to go. I think if I was to try and plot something, I would miss a golden opportunity. I know I would. Like Ledston Look, the very last thing that happens in Ledston Look. I can't say that in case people haven't read it. But I discovered something while I was writing Ledston Look that I would never have thought of had I been plotting it beforehand. Because if something happened mid-scene, somebody said something or something happened mid-scene that I would never have thought of. And I went in that direction. It changed the whole pace of the story. It changed everything about it, and that is how I get my buzz. That's brilliant. I love doing it. I love doing that. And it's the same with book 4 now. Once I get this answer from this cop that I'm going to ask on Monday morning, whenever it is, I'll be away.
Ledston, if anyone hasn't read it, is phenomenal.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. I loved writing that book. I absolutely loved writing it. And I especially liked the bit pertaining to the orange and lime scarf. Do you remember that?
Oh, wow.
If you know, you won't remember it because you've read 1,000 books since then. But if you don't pay attention,
it's an exaggeration.
If you don't pay attention, you will not get the final twist. And I know people have read that book and gone, "Oh yeah, really good." That I says, "Did you get it? Did you get it? Get what?" And you think, "Oh, you didn't get it." But I'm not going to dumb it down. If you don't get it, you don't get it. But it's to do with the scarf. I think it's lime green or orange or some bright colour that I invented, so that people would remember it. And obviously, some people didn't, which is a shame. But there you go.
Leslie said she loved Ledston Nook but didn't like the title.
Yeah, I get that. I get it, because it's not very crimey, is it? What does it say? It's a nothing title, and I kind of regret that, because it doesn't draw people in. People read the title Ledston Nook and go, "What's that?" You know, which is again one of the reasons why I changed the Holy Fox to whatever I changed it to. It's one of the reasons I changed that, because the Holy Fox people go, eh? But there is one thing I should say about the Regan Carter books. They are written in a specific order. Don't break it. Don't start on book 3 or book 2. You will not have a clue what's going on. It was written originally as a trilogy, books 1, 2, and 3. And if you don't start at book 1, you won't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Yeah, especially if it's
not book 2 yet, but good advice.
Yeah, I mean, if it's when it's been out a few years, people won't know that. I don't suppose. I've put 2 on the cover and I've put 2 on the spine, so hopefully 1, 2, 3. Hopefully they'll know to read them numerically. Don't just choose one, because you won't have a clue what's going on. I mean, people do that with Eddie Collins books apparently, and they're still able to read them out of order, and it still makes perfect sense, which is great, because we've got our group of characters in the Eddie Collins book, and just things happen to them. You know, they have crime scenes to go to and things, but so you would still be able to leap from one book to a completely different book and still be able to follow it. But you probably wonder where Miss Moneypenny's gone or something like that if you don't read them in order. I miss Miss Moneypenny. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's fine. Then we are at the end of our time, pretty much. So remind people what they're going to go away and either pre-order an ebook or buy in paperback.
Yes, please. I would love you to do that. If you could go and pre-order the ebook on Amazon, please do. It's A Random Kill, D.S. Regan Carter Book 1. If you prefer paperbacks, which I do, then you will need to. You can go there now and order it now, buy it now. That'd be wonderful, because it's out now.
Lovely. Show everyone your mug again before we finish.
I don't know what you mean. I'll tell you something. Coffee tastes brilliant out of that. Much better out of that than it does any other mug that I've got.
Even your Eddie Collins one?
Yeah, there's one there, look.
And then all it is left to say is thanks so much for.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Please don't forget to message me that sci-fi book. I'll have a look at that.
I will definitely do it as soon as we're finished.
Wonderful. It's been lovely to see you again. And thanks for tuning in, everybody.